Good morning, everyone. This is Curtis Hawks with Insurance Agency Marketing Services. And I want to thank everybody for taking the time to be on the call with us today. We've got a really good topic today. We're going to be talking about tax planning and Stonewood software. We've got Tyler Randall on the call with us today. And in a couple of minutes, I'm going to talk about why this is such an important topic and why this is when we look forward at the future landscape, why taxes are really going to be a bigger and bigger part of the discussion that we have with the clients that we work with. Before we get into that though, I did want to take a couple of minutes. I know we've got a lot of reps on the call today, and I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the additional ways that IAMS can help support your business. So first off, we've got our new producer builders. And this is really a great program for advisors that are new to IAMS or are looking into IAMS. And really the reason that we designed this is that we know all advisors are different. They're unique. They're at different stages of their career. They're in different areas of the country. They have different target markets. And so what we wanted to do was create a program that, regardless of where you're at, we can meet you where you're at and help you to get to where you want to be. And so you can see here that we've got a variety of tier levels. We've also got a variety of different options so that no matter what you're doing from a marketing standpoint, we have something that can help accent your current business. And if you've got something that you're doing currently that's working really well for you, then give us a call. Talk to a sales director over here, because one of the core pillars of IAMS is customization and listening to the advisor, structuring what we do to the advisor to help them achieve the success that they want to. Next, we've got our referred producer program. I was actually on the phone with an advisor today, or actually earlier this week, who sent another rep over that wrote their first piece of business. But if you're working with IAMS and you like what we're doing and you like the service that we're providing, and you know somebody that maybe isn't quite happy where they're at, send them our way. Not only will you get a $50 bonus when the agent gets contracted, and you'll get an additional bonus when they write their first piece of business, but on an ongoing basis, you will continue to get additional checks on a quarterly basis based off of their production. You don't have to do anything. We'll take care of that agent. We'll provide them service and help them with their business, but it's a great way to help increase your revenue. Secondly, we've got our marketing reimbursement program. And as we all know, this year has presented its own sets of challenges with marketing and prospecting. And one of the things that many of you are probably finding is that even with the marketing activities that you're doing, you're probably having to do a little bit more of it. And so our marketing reimbursement program is a great way to double the size of your budget. When you write business with us, whether it's annuity, single premium life insurance, traditional life insurance, or index universal life insurance like we're going to talk about today, it's a great way to accrue marketing dollars and have IAMS invest into your business to help you grow your practice. Back office support, normally everybody says they have good service. I think we've got one of the best service models that you'll find out there in the country, but it's not exactly a super exciting thing. But I think over the course of this year, there's really been a spotlight that's been put on service, as we've seen bottlenecks with the insurance companies, as you've had insurance carriers that have sent people home to work remote. The necessity to have a good team of people behind you supporting your business and aggressively pushing things through the system has never been more important. And as I mentioned, I think we've got one of the best teams out there. If you haven't tried our service yet, you need to. Whether it's case design, whether it's getting you the forms, applications that you need, or whether it's having somebody get on the horn every single day and push and make sure those cases get through, get the offers that you need in order to place the case. We do an amazing job of that. Next, I want to talk about creative marketing solutions. And creative is really the key word here. One of the things that we found this year is many advisors are used to having their regular mix of marketing strategies. And what I mean by that is they've got their mix of strategies and they repeat it month after month after month, and it produces results for them and things go smoothly. Well, you throw a pandemic into the mix and you have a number of marketing activities that either don't work or don't work to the extent that they did pre-COVID. And you have a lot of advisors out there saying, well, what am I supposed to do now? And one of the things that we've found this year is that you have to be more tactical about what you're doing. You have to have a more broad mix of marketing activities that you're incorporating into your business in order to generate that consistent flow of prospects month in and month out. We're going to be talking about some ways that you can do that later in the call. But one thing I would mention to everybody on here is part of what we do is what's referred to as a custom marketing analysis. And just like when you sit down with a prospect and they're telling you what their goals are, and you're doing your needs analysis and you're identifying what the right plan is to help them accomplish their objectives, we do that exact same thing with our advisors. And so we'll identify what the business looks like right now, how you're currently marketing, what you want the business to look like, and then our creative team will put together a custom marketing plan for you with different options that will help accomplish your objectives. And so if you haven't gone through that process with us, I would encourage you to reach out, speak with your sales director, and talk to them about that. Not only can it make a significant impact in your business, but we are getting into the fourth quarter, and so we want to close the year very, very strong. And I think there's a lot of stuff going on right now that'll help people do that. But we also want to start thinking through next year and what we want that to look like. So with that, I'm going to hand things over to Tyler Randall with Stonewood Financial. And I want to take a minute here before he gets going. And we appreciate him being on the call today. But when we put plans together, not only is it about putting the right plan together right now, but it's also about what do we think is going to happen in the future? What do we think the landscape is, right? That's a core component of a balanced plan, is identifying what the objective is, putting a plan in place, and then building into that the ability to make modifications as we go. And so when we look at the current landscape, there's a lot of things going on. We've got the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which is how we all file our taxes right now. And that went into effect in 2018. And in effect, what we saw from that is a tax revenue increase. It was a tax increase as a whole. In fact, many of you have clients that probably, when they went to go file their first returns, were saying, hey, I'm either not getting a refund or it's way less than I thought it was going to be. You've got the Secure Act that passed earlier this year that we're all abiding by, and we talked about that a little bit actually last week on a presentation. But again, another piece of legislation that had a profound effect on retirement accounts, the way people save, as well as the way they transfer wealth at death. And then you've got the CARES Act that was in March of this year. And while that presents significant opportunity from a planning standpoint, especially with the rollover provisions that you can do now between now and the end of the year, which if you're not familiar with that or you're not sure what I'm talking about, you need to call and talk to a sales director today, because there's a huge opportunity for additional business with that. But with all of that is going to come a big bill. $1.7 trillion is what the estimate is. And in addition to that, as many of you might have seen last Thursday, we saw the HEROES Act come out, which is kind of the second version of that. And that's budgeted to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $2 trillion to $3 trillion. I mean, even in the last 24 hours, they're haggling back and forth on getting additional money. And so all that points to the question of, if we're taking on debt at a geometric rate, and we know our current tax code, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, is sunsetting in 5 years, when that gets replaced, what do we think is going to happen? Do we think that that's going to get replaced with tax rates that are lower, or do we think it's going to be tax rates that are higher? Most people would say that the government's going to have some increases in tax revenue to offset some of this debt. So if we know that that's on the horizon, then what should we be talking to our clients about? How do we frame that discussion? How do we talk to them about it? And so we've got Tyler with Stonewood on the call today, and he's going to be taking a deep dive into that and what the opportunity is. So Tyler, we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today, and I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Curtis. I appreciate it. And thank you everyone for joining us. We know your time's valuable, and I hope that over the next 20 minutes or so that you're going to find some value in what we're talking about that can really be some resources that you can implement in your business and help more clients and make more money. And that's really what it's all about. And so just a little background on Stonewood. Our company is a marketing and software consulting company, really designed to help be able to help you increase your IUL sales and revenue. And we do that and have done that for many people, many advisors and agents just like you over the last several years by simplifying what can be a complex sale in insurance and making it easy. And we do that through simplifying a marketing message, which I'll share with you, books and webinars on how we're doing that successfully. And then once a client has interest, being able to simplify the point of sale presentation so that the tax benefits and tax reductions are very easy for the general public to understand. And we do that through our software. And so I'm going to share with you some of the outputs on that as well. But let me show you with just a quick kind of success story up front. And so this is one of my favorites that we had, an advisor agent just like you sitting in a call just like this going into 2019 and had a fairly successful practice doing about 14 million in annuity sales, about 36 million in AUM in 2018, but almost no life business. And he hadn't done life really because he didn't have an easy track to market and present life insurance. AUM and annuity were old hat for him, but the insurance piece, I think he told me that $20,000 a target that you see here was really just a favor for a client. And so what he did was he plugged into Stonewood, became a member. We're going to talk a little bit about what that looks like in a minute. Attended a lot of our training, especially our Master's Academy, which is a deep dive sales, positioning, and marketing of the Stonewood resources into your business. And then he started utilizing our software to present in client meetings. And what he found through the combination, that recipe, he went from 20,000 in IUL sales to over 800,000 in 12 months. And that was a huge uptick in premium. And what was cool about this story is that about half that business came from existing clients, about 485,000 of target came from existing clients, but almost half that, 340,000, came from new prospects that were interviewing him to be their advisor, to be their agent. And he felt very strongly he was able to win the business because of the tax benefits he was able to share with them through the Stonewood software. And I'll show you what that looks like. And it was such a differentiator. It was something that no other advisor that they were interviewing was sharing with them. No other representative was sharing with them. And it was such a big deal. Not only did he win the annuity business, the insurance business, the IUL, but he got their annuity and AUM as new prospects became clients. And he saw an uptick. His annuity business went up and his AUM business went up. And so very much a success story here. And we have hundreds of these. It's some way more success, some less successful from a target premium and revenue standpoint. But the recipe has been the same. Plug into Stonewood and the resources, utilize our training, use our reports, and get it in front of clients and prospects. And you're going to see insurance go up. If you're already doing IUL, we hope to be able to help you do more. If you haven't done IUL in the past and you're looking for a very easy turnkey solution to that, IAMS is here to be able to give this to you as a value for you to be able to plug into your practice. And so what I'm going to take you through is some of our marketing programs, and we have two of them that we really focus on and we build a full marketing catalog around. And the first one is called our New Rules of Retirement Savings. And this one, what you're looking at is a copy of a front cover of a book on the topic. It's 100 pages, really sharing with the reader why the IUL makes a great 401k or 403b qualified plan alternative. So the new rules would tell us to save tax deferred. The old rules would tell us to save tax deferred through a qualified plan. The new rules would tell us to save tax-free. In fact, just like Curtis had mentioned, we think it's so much risk to defer hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars 20 or 30 years into the future, where taxes are a unknown quantity and more than likely going to be much higher. And the rules of distribution on qualified plans could change immensely in the next 20 or 30 years. We just saw through the Secure Act that the stretch IRA went away, and now we have to distribute qualified accounts when we pass in 10 years. Who knows what it's going to be 20 or 30 years from now? And so deferring all these assets into an unknown tax and rule environment is a tremendous amount of risk. And we're not lawyers, but if we are saving in an IUL, which is a private contract between you and an insurance company, the rules on private contracts are much harder to change. They very rarely do. And oftentimes, if the rules do change, they're retroactive. So we have an opportunity to fund tax-free vehicles through the IUL. And this book, what we found is if somebody will read it, again, it's about 100 pages, might take a reader an hour to get through. It's really going to shorten the sales cycle for you. And we've had lots of folks that market with these books that have gone from no sales to hundreds of thousands of target just by using the book, providing it to a client, whether it's a hard copy or ebook, and found that, when the client or prospect comes to you, they're having buying questions. They want to know how they can specifically save taxes using the IUL. And we have some software I'll show you in a second on reports, simple reports, so they can see the outcome there and the tax savings and the risk reduction benefits, all those things that you get through IUL. So that's one marketing program. The other book that we have and we utilize in the same fashion is called the No Compromise Retirement Plan. And this is really designed to focus on the 60-year-old plus, the baby boomer. They've already saved in an IRA or 401k or some sort of qualified plan. And we're sharing with them the tax benefits, how we can save them hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes by taking money out of the IRA now and over the next several years, paying the taxes. We've got this, like Curtis mentioned, a window of time between now and 2025, where taxes should remain relatively a known quantity and relatively historically low. And if we take money out systematically over the next 5 years, pay the taxes, and fund a tax-free vehicle, we've tax diversified that qualified account. And in the end, we're able to share with most people a tax savings of hundreds of thousands and in some cases millions of dollars. And so our CEO, Martin Ruby, who's the author of this book, he's an actuary. That's that designation you see there, FSA, Financial Service Actuary. This book is so reader friendly. It just basically talks about his experience and why he converted about $500,000 of his own money from his IRA to an IUL, because when he crunched the numbers as a number guy, as actuaries are, he found out that the IRA or qualified account's really not tax efficient and that he wasn't going to be in a lower tax bracket when he retires. He's actually going to be in a higher bracket because of the amount of money that he saved. And he shows the tax benefits of why he converted $500,000 of his own money. He shows the risk reduction. He shows the income creation that he's going to get from a tax-free source. And so he encourages the reader to find out from the advisor or representative that gave him the book to find out if you as a reader could get the same tax benefits or utilize this strategy. And so again, really shortens the sales cycle and shows the conversion and how it's such a powerful part of a retirement plan or tax diversification plan. So both these books, by the way, have PowerPoint presentations available for them. We have turnkey webinar solutions that you can use if you want to. We have a pre-canned webinar that you can tap into and be able to push that out to a database, and people will literally watch the presentation on these videos and book time on your calendar is the way the system works to talk to you about this. And you can deliver them an ebook or hard copy book for attending. And the next follow-up is a meeting to show them their personal tax reduction, personal income creation by utilizing some of the strategies discussed in the webinar. And I'll show you what those reports look like. You can customize the book. If you're a Stonewood member, you can put your picture and bio on the back of the book, write the foreword. There's a lot of radio and TV and podcast content if you're doing that kind of marketing on social media. A tremendous amount of client one-pagers and white papers, brochures that you can use and customize to your business. And then once there's some interest, whether it comes from the book or the webinar or the one-pager, that's where we can do some custom tax and income analysis. So this is the resources that are available for you to tap in, They're proven to work. They've done and have done so very successfully over the years. And we do comprehensive, extensive training on how to utilize all of this material in your business so that you can help more clients and make more money. So let me just share with you a couple case studies on both the kind of new rules of retirement savings, those folks using the IUL as a 401k alternative. Then I'll share with you kind of the conversion case study as well, and the reports that we use. So here's John. He's age 42. He's got some money in the 401k, and he's continuing to save, and he's wondering if this is the best alternative for him, or with the new rules of retirement saving or tax diversifying into a tax-free vehicle, if that could be of benefit to him. And so the custom tax report that we would use for John really lays out two scenarios. One, if you continue to fund the 401k, here's your benefit. You're going to defer about $83,000 in taxes, and that's great. Kick that can down the road. However, the taxes incurred while spending. So once we see John hit 65 and he starts taking income out of his IRA, what is his tax bill going to look like over his lifetime? And this is a number that most people are not sharing with clients and prospects, and they have no idea the tax ramifications of spending down a qualified account. And in John's case, not only is he going to pay taxes on the amount that was deferred, he's going to pay $324,000 in taxes over his lifetime as he spends down his qualified account. And that's a huge number. And so we this is what you're looking at here is one page of our potential tax report. That's our talking page. It's actually an 8-page report, goes into a lot more detail. But this is the page we share with clients and prospects to say, the benefit here you can see of deferring in the 401k, about $83,000. That's great. But wouldn't it make sense, John, for us to save in a tax-free vehicle so we could avoid that $300,000 tax bill altogether? When we spend down income out of our savings, we can do so on a tax-free basis, and we can accomplish that through an index universal life. So this is a great conversation or starting point where clients can see, okay, if I could avoid a $300,000 tax bill, if I could save that money in my account rather than send it to the IRS, I can see why the IUL would make a great 401k alternative. And now you've really differentiated your business, and you've positioned yourself in a way to be presenting something that a lot of advisors and representatives aren't sharing with clients. So this has been tremendously helpful if you're doing any of that business where you're trying to share a qualified plan versus a IUL. This is a great conversation starter. And you've got books and PowerPoints to present to folks that you'd be, trying to prospect with. And then this is a report that you would use as a follow-up. Next case study I'm going to share with you is that 60-year-old plus. This is that no compromise retirement plan. And this is converting IRA assets to IUL. And so same kind of simple conversation. What we're going to do for Jim here is say, Jim, if you keep this $1.5 million in your IRA, you grow it. He's age 60 now. If you grow it to age 72 and just start taking your RMDs, what does your tax bill look like over your lifetime? And if we took some money out of the IRA now, paid the taxes over the next 5 years, and funded a tax-free vehicle, could that save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes? And to do that analysis, what we have to do is make some assumptions. We have to make some return assumptions on the IRA itself. And in this case, we did a 5.25% growth rate on the IRA. And then we have to make some tax forecasts. And these are all inputs into the software. And so for Jim, we have him currently in the 25% effective rate. And then beyond 2025, we have his income tax effective rate going up to 32.5. And it's going to stay there really for the rest of his life until age 90. And when he passes, we're going to assume his beneficiaries inherit this money and are in a slightly higher tax rate in 30 years from now than they are today. We're going to show the 35% tax liability. And you could input a more conservative tax forecast or more aggressive. It's up to you. We're going to analyze only $500,000 of the $1.5 million. And so when we look at this $500,000 for Jim, if he grows it at, again, a 5.25% rate of return from age 60 to 72, and starts taking his RMDs, he may be surprised to know that over his lifetime from 72 to 90, he's going to pay $210,000 just in RMD tax alone. And that's a big number. However, if he takes those RMDs and reinvests them, the IRS is going to take a tax bite out of any gains that those non-qualified reinvested RMDs generate to the tune of about $65,000. And then the tax is paid on the remaining account value at death. So when he dies at age 90, the beneficiaries of this account will have to pay $143,000 in taxes on this $500,000. So total tax bill potentially is $420,000 in taxes on a $500,000 account. And that's a real eye opener. And actually, in most cases, when we run these numbers, it really gets people upset that they've never been shared this information. They don't understand the amount of taxes they're going to pay in retirement as they start to spend down this account. And this is where we can really position ourselves and say, you know, Mr. and Mrs. client or prospect, these are your optional taxes in retirement. And what we help clients and prospects with is minimizing this tax bill. We do macro tax planning. So instead of what most people, CPAs, tax attorneys do, which is micro tax planning, 20/20 reduction of taxes. We want to reduce your taxes hundreds of thousands of dollars over your retirement years, and we can do that through a conversion to a tax-free vehicle. If we do that, we take $100,000 a year out each year for the next 5 years, and withhold 25% or $25,000 goes to the IRS to pay our tax debt, and we fund $75,000 into a tax-free IUL. Your total tax bill would be $125,000. Once it's in a tax-free vehicle, there's no taxes on the growth, no taxes in death, so the total is $125,000. We've reduced the tax liability here for you over your retirement years, nearly $300,000, and that's a huge savings. And it doesn't take a CPA or an actuary to look at the number on the left, 420,000, and the number on the right, 120,000, and know that you can really benefit by working with you and utilizing this conversion process. And you'll notice on our report, this is actually, again, it's one page of an 8-page tax report. So if you have somebody that wants you to prove the numbers out, there is more detailed year-by-year analysis. But this is the talking page that we start the conversation around tax reduction, and we can share with them a big tax reduction right up front. Now, you can see that we use Roth is kind of a placeholder word for tax-free. We're pretty quick to pivot to, say to a client or prospect, Roth is one tax-free option. It's not our preferred tax-free option. We like IUL for the death benefits and the living benefits and the market protection, but this is one option, and it's a compliant option. That's why we share with it. It's compliant for us to compare a qualified account to a Roth. If we compare a qualified account to IUL, well, now our 8-page report becomes 80 pages, right? Because we've got to add so many insurance disclosures in there. So just from a tax lens, though, looking at this $500,000, you're going to see a lot of people. If you put this report in front of every client over the age of 60 with qualified money and show them the tax reduction they could benefit from via conversion, you will fill a funnel full of these types of clients, and you will look like that success story that we shared up front, where people are able to help more and more, not only clients, but land more prospects, because you're really differentiating your business by showing this huge tax reduction that's available through a conversion to the IUL. Once we get that, concern where people say, well, why wouldn't I just use a Roth IRA? Well, you guys have seen power of indexing charts like this. This is a very simple transition for us. We show the unprotected Roth account as the bottom line in the last 20 years. The protected IUL investor is the top line. Mr. and Mrs. Client, which line would you rather have invested on the last 20 years? And nobody picks the bottom line. We actually take it one step further, and we show the volatility that we saw in March. Market volatility is not going anywhere. We're up, we're down. It's been a yo-yo, and will continue to be because markets always are uncertain and are reactionary. And it's going to happen. It always has happened where we had market volatility. And if we look at the first 2 weeks of March, the S&P 500, if you noticed, it was over 6% average rate of return for 20 years. In 2 weeks, the S&P 500 dropped to under 4.5%, and that's what an unprotected account is subject to. Mr. and Mrs. Client, look how the IUL investor was affected during that same 2-week period. They weren't. They were protected, and they were protected in every major market downturn. And that's one reason we like the IUL versus an unprotected Roth, is because of the market protections. The living benefits and the death benefits are certainly pluses as well, and we talk about those. But that chart helps explain why we like the IUL rather than an unprotected Roth. The last report I want to share with you here is a cost analysis, because you're going to get folks that say, hey, that $300,000 tax reduction is great, the market protection is great, but I've heard insurance is expensive. And if we're doing a good job in our presentations, we'll always say compared to what. And if we compare to what, people always answer in a percentage form. They say, well, compared to my 401k or my mutual fund, I pay 1% or 2%. And so you're able to take any carrier illustration, plug it into our cost software, and compute the actual average expense of the IUL in a percentage form. And all that small print is the carrier compliance. So we work with the carriers so that this is a compliant one-page report. In fact, all of our reports are compliant for use in a presentation. The cost of Jim's insurance, his IUL, is 1.3%. That stacks up very well against just about anything you want to stack it up against. So just know that it's nice to have this in your back pocket when cost concerns come up or that objection comes up. In most cases, you can overcome that very quickly by using this cost analysis report. And in most cases, the IUL is pretty reasonable. So we have a number of other reports. We didn't have time to cover them all today, but we do have legacy planning reports. We have a simplified IUL illustration that takes, these 50-page carrier illustrations, boils it down to just a couple of pages that are the highlights that show premium invested, value at retirement age, income at retirement age, death benefit, all on one page. We call it a highlight page. Makes it very easy to present rather than present 50 pages of carrier illustration where everybody doesn't know what the heck they're looking at. You can have 1 or 2 pages that are very simple and compliant. We have income analysis reports as well that compares qualified income, systematic withdrawal to IUL. And they're 2 separate reports, but it's very easy to show the power of the tax-free withdrawal. So a number of reports are available to you through the software to make the presentation easier to understand for the general public. So in combination with the books and the webinars, the client one-pagers to generate interest, we just give you a very easy path of presentation that's compliant. And in this business, as you guys all know, if you can make things simple, you'll close more business and make more money and help more clients. And so typically a license to our software is about $2,500 a year. Our total premium package is discounted down significantly to $1,800 through IAMS, and that's something that's a tremendous value. And what we try to help you do is find a client, a prospect like Jim, a 5-pay, $75,000 a year, would generate about $40,000 in revenue on a conversion case, and that's a nice ROI in and of itself. But if you create, you get those reports like many of our advisors do, get them in front of every client or prospect over the age of 60, you're going to find a funnel of this type of conversion clientele. And if you can get one of these a month as you build that funnel, now you have a 200x ROI, like that success story we saw up front where the guy actually invested $3,400 total in our books and webinars and everything and generate over $1 million in revenue. Yeah, obviously that's an outlier, a very successful case, but doesn't take a whole lot of these cases to really make a lot of money for you. And if you're talking to prospects, just like that success story that we led with, not only do you pick up the insurance, but you also pick up the annuity and the AUM. And it doesn't take a lot of these types of clients, this particular example, 77,000 plus ongoing AUM to really transform a business. So that's really what we're doing and how we're helping folks be successful. Our training program plugs you in and shows you how to do all of this. And I want to just kind of close it with this. I'm, speak and circle back, and I'm sure Curtis will also mention this with your marketer. You can get access through our basic license, and IAMS will pick up the cost on this for you, which gives you access to all of our new rules of retirement savings, the book and the webinar. Again, this is for that non-qualified saver, comparing a 403B or 401k to an IUL. The software and tax analysis we look at for the saver client. and access to a lot of our training, a lot of it digitally through that license, through that seat license. So talk to IAMS about that. If you say, hey, that's great, but I'd really like to have the IRA to IUL conversion story, I get why that makes a lot of sense between now and 2025. We can make hay while the sun shines here and really talk to clients about converting assets. The Stonewood membership can be accessed at a deep discount through IAMS and that relationship there. And what you do is you get everything that's involved in our basic access package, plus our no compromise retirement plan, the book on IRA to IUL conversion, and the webinar that goes along with it. You get the ability to customize the book if you're a Stonewood member. You also get all of our reports on legacy planning and IRA to IUL conversion, as well as a complimentary attendance to our master's training, which is, it used to be a full day event in person. Now it's a virtual over lunch Eastern time, about an hour and a half each day for about 3 days, where we just show you all the best practices on incorporating this into your business and how to utilize it so you can be successful to help more people and make more money. We also assign you a Stonewood team member to be part of your back office on all of these resources, and you'd have access to their calendar at any time to help in running reports or asking questions on incorporating or customizing any of this marketing material, really anything that you need that we can provide best practices and support to you on. We're here to do that. So hopefully that was a good overview. If you'd like more information, please again circle back with your marketer at IAMS, and we're happy to be here to be of service and help your business in any way we can. Now I'll just turn it back over to you now, Curtis.
Hey, Tyler, I appreciate you being on the call today, and I hope everybody on the call today sees the same value that we do. We have a lot of conversations about would you rather pay tax on the seed or the harvest, and never before have we had a nice, simple, straightforward, easy to understand way to really go through that exercise and articulate that. And so this is the second webinar that we've done with Stonewood. What I can tell you is that we've been seeing a significant amount of success with this. We're doing a lot of designs. We're seeing a lot of business off of this. And not only are we seeing a lot of success with this and advisors marketing it, but it is a very, very complementary program to a lot of the services that we offer over here. And what I mean by that is, I know we've got several advisors on the call today that are doing our preset appointment program that not only has a significant opportunity on the annuity side, there's also a significant opportunity on the life insurance side, specifically in the index universal life space. And we've been seeing a lot of success using this software in tandem with that to illustrate for an individual, if you keep saving the way you always have, here's what you defer in taxes and here's what you're going to pay at retirement, versus what if we reposition those contributions going forward into a tax advantaged asset. So we're seeing a significant amount of success on a lot of fronts with this software. So I would encourage you to reach out, talk to your sales director over here. Our number is 800-255-5055. They're going to be more than happy to chat with you about it. In fact, think of maybe some prospects that you have in mind. They can go through and run some sample designs for you so you can really see the power of this. So we appreciate you taking the time out of your day today. Look forward to speaking with you and have a good rest of the week. Thanks.